Hello again YouTube, and welcome back to Just Get a Tesla. Today I think I want to talk about all of the things in my car that I don't use, because I've done loads of reviews of features and things that the car can do, and they're fantastic. This is a feature loaded car, but there's a whole load of stuff that I just don't even touch. Why is that? Well, what I mean by features that I don't use are, some of these are driving modes, and some of these are entertainment features. Some of these are honestly stuff that the car can probably do, and I might have looked at it at the beginning and I've kind of forgotten a little bit, if I'm honest, because you get into the routine of just, this is mine, this is what I do with it, and there's a whole load of other things that I'm not particularly fussed about. So I'm just going to have a play with a few things and talk about what I don't do with my Tesla Model Y. So there is a load of menus and things with the car that I don't really use. I know I've done a walkthrough of how all of these things work on previous other videos, but the reality is I don't actually use a lot of this stuff. Some of the menus here, I'd actually have to go into them and start having a fiddle before I really understood what they all were. So, you know, I've never ever even pressed window locks. I don't need to use child locks. I suppose I could press fold mirrors and they come in, but again, I've not actually had to do that. I like the way, oh, hang on, look, save location. So if you're parking in a place where it's a bit tight and you do need to fold the mirrors, you could actually tell it to do that on a regular basis. Never even done that before. Didn't know it existed. That's kind of the point. I have adjusted my mirrors and the steering wheel precisely once when I first got the car. So again, it's something that I just don't actually need to use at all. I do use Sentry mode, but I don't use it here, although if I'm brutally honest, a lot of the time there's not really anything that's worth looking at. Let's go into a couple of the biggies. Right, so I have gone into pedals mode, okay? Pedals and steering. So first of all, chill mode. I actually used to use that quite a bit in the early days when I was getting used to the amount of power that was on this car. I very, very rarely use it now because I've learned how to moderate power with my right foot. Similarly, I had a play with comfort and standard and sport with the steering wheel mode, and frankly it doesn't really make a huge difference to me. I know some people like really, really sporty tight little turns on the steering wheel. I just don't use those things at all, and I've done several videos talking about the different stopping modes. So creep, roll, hold. I use creep, and I know a whole load of people have told me, no, you need to use hold, it's the one pedal drive thing, that's why you have a Tesla. It really isn't for me. Wifey uses hold and she really likes it, but it's so I'm almost certainly never going to use either of those two modes. I don't change the way that I have got the autopilot and speed settings set up. So things like the set speed, I've got it so that, having fiddled around with it, it goes to the current speed. Some people will say, well, don't you want it to go automatically to the speed limit? Well, no, because if I press that, then when I do the double tap down on the stalk here, then it will immediately accelerate up to whatever the speed limit is, or what it thinks the speed limit is. I'd like to have a little bit more control. You know, I don't mess with any of these controls. There's all of these things you can fiddle with and fettle with. I simply don't touch them. Forward collision warning. You know, I've got it set on late, and the only reason I've got it set on late is because before it started shouting at me when I was driving, you know, through traffic, to the point where you then have to slalom around a parked car, and it starts saying, you're going to crash. Well, I'm not. So I've got it set to late. I don't think I'm ever going to bother touching that. The lane departure avoidance, you know, I've got it set on assist, but only, you know, just in case I start wandering out of lane particularly. Green traffic signal chime. What on earth is the point in that? Basically, as it says, a chime will play when the traffic light you're waiting for turns green. If you're waiting behind another car, the chime will play when that car advances. Look, I don't need it to ping when the traffic lights turn green because I have eyes. I'm looking at it. It's just one of these things, like some of these other bits, there's bits and bobs of sort of settings. But what I think I really want to go into is some of the other things you can do with the car. Right, calendar, messages. I've got a Pixel 6 Pro as a phone, but I don't actually want it to integrate into messages and calendar apps and things like that. It's just one of those things where I don't honestly see the point in it. Zoom. This has been installed on a recent thing. Actually, let's have a look at this because this is going to be slightly entertaining. This is literally Zoom messaging. So from here, I can join into a meeting because, oh look, there is. Can we actually see it here? Yes, there is a camera up there above the mirror. So basically I can sit here and I can join a meeting with the camera, and then the people appear on the screen while I'm sat in my car. Now, I have actually had video meetings while I'm sat in the car, but I absolutely would not bother doing that using the big screen because, frankly, it's a little bit on the silly side. What other daft things have we got in here? Okay, so some of the things, again, different people might actually want to use some of these things. The karaoke thing was kind of fun for the first 10 minutes when I got the car. We've done a little bit of Never Gonna Give You Up, and I'm not actually going to play this because if I do, I'm actually going to get blocked on YouTube, which is fabulous. So that's quite enough of that. But I mean, look, it is literally karaoke. It's a bit of a gimmick. It's fun. Never use the thing at all. And then if we go into arcade, I've played through most of the games in that I've at least switched them on. But I don't really play a lot of computer games anyway. And quite frankly, I'm not really in the mood to sit in the car and play games, especially where Beach Buggy Racing 2, right? I mean, this is actually a fun game, but when you're driving the car, you're doing so using the steering wheel and using the pedals. And the point is, when you're turning the steering wheel to make the car go, you're actually turning the bloody wheels underneath you, which is completely mad because you're just going to wear the things down if you play the thing quite a lot. So I honestly do not use any of the games. Colorizer, I had a very brief play with it because I can turn my car into all kinds of exciting colours. I mean, like, right, I can do that. We can go into metallic colours. That actually looks quite good, but I've got no interest in actually doing the thing, so I'm just going to set it back to where it was. Some of the other things that's in it, I've done the light show a couple of times, to be fair. It's a bit of fun. The boombox thing where you can play your music outside of the car, or you can use the megaphone feature. Again, I've faffed with it the odd time. The emissions testing mode where the car starts farting. It's a bit silly. I mean, the fact that you can have it fart when you turn the indicator on is completely bonkers, Fab, you can even play them outside the car on the speaker. Wonderful, marvellous, no interest. You've got this tracks thing where basically it's like a mini, well, it's not GarageBand, it's kind of like a little sequencer. And I had a play with it once and then I didn't actually bother. I think most of these things are supposed to be there for when you're charging the car up. Now, maybe it's because I'm a YouTuber, but I find myself where I'm actually doing stuff while I'm charging rather than doing any of these other things. Romance road mode, you literally switch this on and you get the nice burning log fire and it will start blowing hot air through the speakers. Fantastic, but pointless. Mars. Hey, why on earth would you want to have your map so that it's Mars and then the car is a buggy, and as you drive around you are quite literally on Mars? It's one of these absolutely insane bonkers things that Elon Musk does and puts these things on, and you know what, fine, it's a bit of fun, but I'm never, ever, ever going to use it. Then let's go into some of the apps. I definitely have used Netflix, I've used Disney Plus, I've used YouTube. I don't know what Twitch is because I'm old. I thought there used to be something else on there as well, but hey, never mind. What else have we got? Let's go back into Toybox. Rainbow Road, where it's constantly on. It's just annoying. I honestly can't understand why that's even why that's even on there. I think it's fun that there's a whole load of choice that you can have. You know, the browser I've used the odd time basically just to pull up a couple of web pages where I wanted to look at something. It's a nice thing to actually have on there, and if I'm honest, I like the fact that browser is on there. I like the fact that calendar and messages are on there. They are worth having, but half of these things I really have never used. Now, you're going to tell me in the comments which ones you've used and why I'm basically a Philistine for the fact that I'm not using any of these things. Oh, yes, while I think about it, hang on. Let's go into, I want to get the radio on. Now then, how exactly do I do that? Is that where I need to go into tune in? Hang on. Yeah, hang on. No, what I want to go into is actual radio. I don't know why that's disappeared off there as well. I want to go into actual radio. So to listen to the radio in this car, I'm going to have to do a bit of fiddling around to understand where exactly it is, because I have never listened to the radio in this car. I think the point is there's a whole load of stuff on this car that I'm glad it's there because it's kind of fun, but I don't use it. You know, I've just said I don't listen to the radio. Well, I do listen to the radio, but I listen to it on TuneIn, so internet radio, or stream via my phone. I don't listen to FM or DAB, and I believe this car's got both. I couldn't even find them, frankly, on there. I'm not remotely interested in some of the gimmickry and the silliness that's in there, but what I would really, really, really like them to do is fix auto wipers. Please, Tesla, fix auto wipers. Make them work properly. It's a software issue. There's a whole load of people screaming at the screen, Ian, what about Tesla Vision? Absolutely. I've got a car that was built in 2022 and it still has the ultrasonic sensors. I believe I would not have gone out of a few scrapes without the USS if I was reliant on the Tesla Vision system. So again, get Tesla Vision working properly. Don't give us Beach Buggy Racing 3, because how can I put this? Who cares, right? Having a car that you can play video games while you're sat in it is kind of cool. It really is. It's one of the fun things about the car. But if they were able to make some of the actual driving things absolutely unbelievably amazing, that would be much better than adding the Rainbow Road feature or adding the ability to play farts outside of the car. Yes, blowing farts outside of the speaker is funny. Yeah, marvellous. But I've got Matrix LED headlights fitted to this car, and I drive around with Matrix LED headlights, which I can't use because they haven't switched them on. Again, sort it out, guys. Priorities. Some things are worth having than others. So what I'd be interested in the comments is, what features do you use which I've just said are a complete waste of time? Or alternatively, what do you find that's essential that I might not even have thought about? Let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely interested. I suspect there's a whole load of us who have different experiences of our Teslas and what we're actually doing with them. And on that thoughtful note, I'm going to leave this video here. Thanks very much for watching. Like, subscribe, bell icon stuff. And I'll see you back here very soon on Just Get a Tesla.